Hello, and welcome to the virtual launch of the Byron for Congress campaign. My name is Daniel Byron, and I'm seeking your support in my effort to represent Pennsylvania's 9th Congressional District. Why me? Well, I'm a father. I know what it's like to work hard and struggle harder. I'm far from exceptional, not exceptionally wealthy, not exceptionally educated or talented, or really anything. Why me? I've been asking myself that every day since I've made the decision to run. I know what it's like to struggle, what it's like to turn down the heat, what it's like to donate my plasma for grocery money, what it's like to feel the adverse effects of every single decision made across this country by every single representative, whether they are a Republican or a Democrat. Why now? Our country is in crisis. The wealthy billionaires and millionaires are stripping away our rights, our freedoms, and our safety nets. They're doing it while telling us it's for our own good, while they leave gaping holes in the tax code so they don't have to pay their fair share. The president is handing control over to foreign billionaires. Congress is conceding power to the president, and the president is ignoring the judiciary. Where are our representatives? Well, Dan Muser was in Philadelphia showing his appreciation to voters he doesn't even represent, while ignoring calls for a town hall with his own constituents. He may have left this district in the rear view as he eyes up a governorship he hardly deserves, but we're still here, and I plan to represent you the way you deserve to be represented. My campaign will be focused on 4 pillars of change. First, we need to drain the swamp. We need to tell Congress enough is enough and impose congressional term limits. Next, we need to address the student debt crisis. We need to stimulate the economy by lifting the economic weight of predatory loans off a generation scammed into college debt. Third, we need to catch up with our technology and pass sweeping digital reforms that protect consumers, their privacy, and their data. Last, we needed to make healthcare affordable. We're the richest country in the world, and we can't afford to keep our people healthy. Why? Because we've prioritized profits over people and allowed the medical industry to milk us for every dime. Allowing members of Congress like Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, and Mitch McConnell to serve for over 40 years has served as a reminder that tenure is not a virtue when it comes to politics. Because over those same 40 years, we've seen stagnation in policy, stagnation in progress, and constant bickering and blustering instead of compromise and action. Term limits will prevent the consolidation of power by forcing change. Term limits will force compromise as members fight to get their agenda accomplished before their time is up. Term limits are one of the most clear bipartisan policies. 79% of Pennsylvanians agree with congressional term limits, and the only thing stopping it is the greed and selfishness of those in Congress refusing to limit their own political careers. I will introduce an amendment to the United States Constitution which will limit all members of Congress to 12 cumulative years of service. And I will work to pressure every member to vote for the amendment or expect to lose their next election. The time for polite politics is over. We either see change in the chamber or we march for change in the streets. Predatory lending saddled a generation with student debt that is stifling the economy and darkening our future. Teenagers were coerced into college on the threat of poverty and the promise of prosperity. As those students graduated, if those students graduated, they found that the market for their degrees was limited. The pay had not scaled with the cost of living, and their interest charges outpaced their ability to pay. In our district, 130,000 people have student loan debt at an average debt of $36,000 and an average monthly payment of $536. Those are 130,000 people not going out to restaurants on a Tuesday night. Those are 130,000 people not in a position to buy a home. Those are 130,000 people not participating in the economy, instead sending every extra penny they have back to the education department in Washington to line the pockets of bankers and politicians. My plan wouldn't forgive all student loans, as it isn't fair to only help some and not all. My plan is based on interest, a reset, if you will, of the principal balance, eliminating debts that have a reasonable expectation that had interest not been a factor, the borrower would have already paid off the debt, discharging interest owed on any remaining accounts, and commuting all future interest to 0%. This kind of economic stimulus would serve to create jobs as people return to spending in their local economies. Circling back on the problem with allowing congressmen to serve for 4 decades, we're 30 years behind on laws that protect consumers online. And another example of how deaf our Congress is to our needs, 79% of Americans are concerned with how our data is collected and used. 72% are in favor of more regulations. Yet we fail to address those concerns year after year, while allowing the CEO of Twitter, Elon Musk, to have sweeping access to our social security numbers, banking information, and more. Even though 77% of Americans don't trust social media CEOs to handle user data responsibly. I will introduce a series of legislation to protect you from being exploited online. Most notably, I will introduce a series of constitutional amendments to guarantee you the right to privacy, the right to security, the right to be forgotten, the right to revoke your permissions, and the right to not be compelled to use an online service when an analog option is reasonably available. There is much that needs done, but the Digital Bill of Rights will serve as the foundation of a lasting protection for you and your kids. The final pillar may just be the most personal. My son receives CHIP. Our household isn't well off. I make under $45,000 a year, yet Congress has voted to reduce the budget for Medicare, and I am nervous that my son will lose his health insurance. Now, I'm fortunate enough to know that I can pay a little more and turn the heat down 2 degrees this winter and get health care through my employer. However, no one, not myself, not my neighbor, no one, should ever be in a position to choose between their health and their well-being, their health and their home, their health and their security. But when I look at my smiling son, oblivious to the world around him, I know that I will have to choose between seeing a doctor and hoping the sickness can be treated over the counter. I know that I'll have to choose between medicine and food. And I know that this isn't the America I believe is great. 161,000 people in our district rely on Medicaid and CHIP. The average healthcare cost is $13,000, while the median household only makes $68,000. Whether you rely on assistance or pay your insurance out of pocket, we can all admit that cost has become too much. Insurance companies gouge us for every dollar and then deny us most procedures. I will introduce legislation to address the power and scope of insurance company decisions by limiting their ability to deny coverage and creating universal cost caps that standardize the maximum out-of-pocket costs of all health insurance plans. Because you should never be denied life-preserving medicine when you pay a premium on it. Those 4 pillars are the core of this campaign, the heart of what I'm running for. But there is so much work that needs done, and so much more detail to be discussed. Election reforms, including campaign finance laws, the student debt crisis plan in greater details, the full breakdown of the Digital Bill of Rights, and more policies centered on our relationship with the digital world, healthcare reform details, and more policies I support to achieve our goals. Where I stand on social and fiscal policy, although it may not be the priority of this campaign, are also available on our website. Please join our mailing list. If you're a local, volunteer. And if you can, I'm not exceptionally wealthy. Every contribution helps me fight this fight. If you believe in even half of what I am saying, we already agree on more than most. Please take the time to like this video, share it with your friends and family, and subscribe for campaign updates. Remember, if you can share a meme, you can share a dream. Thank you. Now, part of this event today is also a Q&A for anybody who would like to ask some questions. I'm going to be 100% honest. I'm not exactly sure I know how to manage that from here, so I'm going to go on here and figure that out really quick. In the meantime, if you do have questions, please get them ready in the chat, and I will do my best to pull that chat up so I can see those questions. Alrighty, I can now see the chat. So if there's any questions, please feel free to ask them below. We'll give that a few minutes here, and if we don't see any questions, then we'll bid adieu. Oh, Daniel Parker, what is your take on the affordable housing crisis? Well, I think number one, when we're talking about affordability in this country, we have to talk about it holistically, right? While housing is extremely important, it's where we live, right? We work to keep a roof over our heads. I think that just making it more affordable to live does address some of that affordability with housing. Now, specifically, uh, there's so many things that we can be doing on the national level. Things such as preventing large corporations from buying out apartment buildings and jacking the rents up extremely high just to take advantage of the everyday worker. Preventing companies in states like California and New York, where rents are already high, from buying rural properties in places like here in the Ninth District of Pennsylvania and trying to charge New York and California sized rents, right? These are the type of things that we could be doing that we certainly aren't. I mean, there's so many different things we could definitely be doing. Number one, though, is definitely just addressing the holistic affordability of living in this country. Um, if you're not spending so much on your health care and you're not spending so much on your groceries and you're making more money because there's more jobs and more opportunities, then the cost of housing kind of mitigates a little bit. Right? Any more questions today? Well, thank you. It has been a pleasure, and I look forward to many more of these virtual events. We will be doing some virtual town halls over the course of the campaign, as well as many in person events that I hope you look forward to seeing more of. Thank you. And remember,